This evening. Now, let's get into some more of the weekend analysis. Here's the top of the table. Remind you how things stand with Arsenal leading the way. 3 points clear of Manchester City, 4 clear of Liverpool now, who've lost their last 3, having won their first 5. And Liverpool themselves with a 2-point gap over Manchester United, who've won back-to-back games for the first time under Ruben Amorim. Before we analyse it, let's remind ourselves what Arne Slot had to say after the game.
Arne, you're always very good at taking the emotion out of it with your post-match analysis. What's your take on today?
If you play United, that comes here with a low block, with playing a lot of long balls, then you know that is going to be difficult, because it's not easy to play through them, and you don't get the chance to win the ball back high up the pitch and then create your chance.
Very honest about what he perceived to be Manchester United's approach, and there has been a little bit of criticism about how direct he is about that. What do you think of it?
I think he's Dutch. And we know that, we've had Dutch players, Dutch managers come to our league. They're very open, and they'll say what happened. He won't think he's offended anyone, or he's trying to be offensive to Manchester United. He's just telling you what happened in the game. And I think it's quite refreshing. And that did happen in the game, and that's what we're going to look at.
The numbers certainly do back him up. Let's show you a couple of graphics that point us towards Arne Slot being absolutely right. Highest percentage of passes long at Anfield in 2025, well, Manchester United are right at the top, and you can see who they're above as well, Accrington Stanley, who went there in the FA Cup last season. But 25.5% of those passes from Manchester United went long, and perhaps best represented by the goalkeeper, new to the Manchester United side, Lummens. But this is his pass map against Liverpool on Sunday. The red are the incomplete passes, the green are the ones that found a teammate. And of 46 passes, just one here. This little short line here was the only one that was short to a teammate. That was to Diogo Dalot in around about the 20th minute. The rest, 45 out of 46, were long passes, and one around about, I reckon about here, Jamie, led to the first goal.
Yeah, and listen, when you talk about teams playing direct football, having a low block, as Arne Slot mentioned, it's always seen as a criticism. Ruben Amorim got his tactics absolutely spot on in this game at Anfield. There's no doubt about that. That's the only way they could win the game. So we're going to look at the goal here initially in terms of the direct play. But it's not just about going long. Let's remember who he actually picked. He didn't pick Sesko, he picked Cunha to be underneath the ball. And what's really important here when we see this first challenge is we've got the back 5 of Manchester United, 3 centre-backs, 2 wing-backs quite wide. But the really important thing here to note is how narrow these players are here underneath the ball. So it's not just go long, it's about picking up the second ball. Another really important point is nobody ever goes for the ball in behind in terms of a flick on, or if Virgil van Dijk misses it. So again, I mentioned Cunha being a little bit deeper than maybe a Sesko would be. So it was all about maybe we don't win the first ball, but we pick the second ball up here, and look how narrow the Manchester United 5 players are here. And that's where this goal comes from. Then Harry Maguire wins it again. And because of the initial position of these players, look how narrow Mason Mount is. Bruno Fernandes does really well. Liverpool a little bit unfortunate, the McAllister one, there's no doubt about that. But I just want to stop it here. That is where the goal is going to be scored here. Now, we mentioned Virgil van Dijk, me and Gary, a lot on commentary, that he's got to get back quicker. And there's absolutely no doubt about that. But the guy alongside him, Konate, who I thought had a brilliant game, has got to do the same. So when Diallo was on the ball, now Konate is the closest man to getting to where this ball is, first of all. So he's 27 yards away. Then we look at where Virgil van Dijk is. He's 30 yards away from that. And then you look at where Mbeumo is there. He's 31 yards away. Now, what I would say is, if that was me in Virgil van Dijk or Konate position, maybe he beats me to the ball. But these are 2 of the quickest centre-backs in the Premier League, and they've got to start on him as well, and they've just got to do more. They've got to sprint back and get there before he does. But it's a brilliant start for Manchester United, no doubt, as I said, so early into the game, and we see it from a different angle as well here, and probably just highlights a little bit more as well on Konate. And could he get across in that position? But you see Manchester United keeping the ball alive. Again, as we mentioned, numbers centrally. And the two centre-backs have just got to get back. But fair play to him. He's busting a gut to get in there. Brian Mbeumo, right foot, and they find themselves 1-0. And he created other chances. And again, I just want to look at this sort of setup again. Harry Maguire, now look at Casemiro, go long, go long. Look at the manager down here. He's not even looking at the game. He's not watching. He knows this ball is going long. Again, no one running in behind to try and get on the second ball. In behind. Normally that happens. Again, look at those 5 players inside. Again, the 2 central midfield players and the 3 attacking players really narrow, really together to make sure they pick up the second ball. And this is, again, when you come into this system causing Liverpool problems. Carragher's up against the wing-back. And Mbeumo trying to drag Virgil van Dijk out, who had problems all afternoon getting dragged into those wide areas. And Manchester United, through Mason Mount, again being narrow, could be 2-0 up. So the tactic of going long was absolutely spot on. Now, there's talk of, again, Manchester United playing a low block. And it's seen as criticism for Arne Slot. It's not. It was the right thing to do. And I'm going to show you a couple of occasions why it was the right thing to do for Manchester United, and the manager got it right tactically. Because on the couple of occasions when Manchester United actually tried to go after Liverpool and press, Cunha tries to press there, Gravenberch. Casemiro's pushing in behind him. Luke Shaw now goes in with Mo Salah. And before you know it, they're not in that low block, and that's where Manchester United have problems. Whether it's Bruno Fernandes or Casemiro in those positions, if they get caught out, there'll be space in behind them. The ball then goes into Mo Salah with space because Manchester United have tried to press high and get after Liverpool. And this is the chance for Gakpo where he hits the post. And again, that's when Man United are at their worst, when the team is spread out. Again, it's a chance, this one. Hits the woodwork from Gakpo, but Manchester United pressing Diallo, Mbeumo, Casemiro goes. Mason Mount was about to go. Before you know, it's a long ball. The team are separated. Lovely touch from Liverpool, and this is where Gakpo almost scores again. But again, it comes from Manchester United pressing high. You look at the players getting back into the box. Big distance into the cover, and that's why they were right not to go after Liverpool and play in that 5-4-1 low block.
You agree, Gary? The low block and the long balls was the perfect solution?
Yeah, and I think the game suits Amorim and where Manchester United are at the moment. I think he's had some of his best results and performances in games where he can be the team that sits off. And that system suits that. It's very, very difficult, I think, to get after teams when you're in a 5-4-1. And you've seen in previous matches, like Jamie highlighted there from them 2 clips, where if Fernandes and Casemiro step forward and you can get in behind them. Fulham, I remember listening to a chat with Marco Silva about using Iwobi to get behind them. They caused them loads of problems. So it's a fantastic result, and the game plan works perfectly from Ruben Amorim. But I think there will be more difficult tests for him, which sounds strange. Going to Anfield is a tough test. But in like a tactical sense, trying to get that team to be the dominant force that presses, regains the ball, controls the game, I think trying to do that in that system will be a bigger challenge.
Maybe
for
even
him.
Saturday against Brighton at home.
Yeah, will be a challenge, definitely.
And we know how well that Brighton have done at Old Trafford in recent seasons. What about the small details as well?
Yeah, I think when I go back to the winning goal, and when I rewatched the game again last night when I came down to London, this stood out on me throw-ins. We talk about small details in the game, so just stop it now. Now, what they did as soon as Liverpool couldn't take a quick throw-in, it was almost like a set piece, Cunha stopped the ball going back to the centre-back. And Mbeumo here on this side, we know where he normally plays, normally from this side. He is so narrow from a right-sided attacking player. So what that's about is almost being man-to-man from the throw-in and lock Liverpool in, and don't make it easy for them just to go round the back to the goalkeeper and out the other side. So we see the problems Liverpool had with throw-ins. They make a challenge, they get the throw-in again now with Conor Bradley. Again, the same setup. Look how narrow they are on this side. Again, stopping the ball going back to the centre-back. It's a poor throw-in from Conor Bradley. Manchester United win the ball easily. Ball comes out this side, goes out for a throw-in now. Carragher wants to take the throw in quick. Keep an eye on this guy here. He's dropping in, but he realises his job is to go here and stop the ball coming to the centre-back. He's now screaming at Casemiro, you've got to get in there and stop the ball going in there. Now they locked him in. Mason Mount comes over from that side, really narrow. Now it's a man-to-man system here, stopping the easy ball to go back and Liverpool to build round the other side. And Carragher, as I said, he's not quite sure what to do. He's looking round, he's looking for help. Listen, he gives a foul throw away. Now, the reason I'm showing that, because it takes me to the winning goal. Now, this is Manchester United. Late in the game, we now know Szoboszlai's gone to right back. Now, there's been a lot of talk about a really poor throw-in from Szoboszlai from Liverpool supporters, and yes, that is true. But this little detail of Manchester United that they've been doing right throughout the game has helped them win the game. Sesko comes on, stops the ball going to Canate. And Mbeumo there is very narrow, as we've highlighted. He then takes a risk, throws it back. Because he's narrow, he can close the goalkeeper down and make it difficult for him. Now, we just stop it now. Now, the first clips we were showing was Manchester United going direct. OK? This is still the same situation. It doesn't matter that it's the Liverpool goalkeeper going direct or it was the Manchester United goalkeeper going direct. There's a challenge to be won here, and you need bodies around the ball for the second ball. So we've seen Virgil van Dijk headed before. This time it's Harry Maguire. And what do Manchester United have again? Like we saw on the first goal and another opportunity for Mason Mount, they've got players around the ball and narrow, which gives them an opportunity to pick up the second ball, then go from there. So we've seen the small detail on the throw-in and the big detail that's been mentioned a lot from Ruben Amorim in the game about going direct, second balls, then they get the corner, and that's where the 2-1 comes from.
So, Gary, where does the goal come from?
Yeah, it's interesting. We've been looking a little bit at set pieces, and you have we spoke a bit about Nottingham Forest and whether you go man for man or because you put yourself at risk of penalties from VAR now, marking, or whether you go zonal. So Liverpool are a bit of both. But if you keep your eye on Szoboszlai at the back, he's in the back zone. He ends up
where he is, Gary.
Yep. So Szoboszlai is here. He should have a circle on him in a moment. He is the back zone man. I know he ends up being a little bit occupied by De Ligt. And then you look at the other two in Gakpo and Curtis Jones, who are also involved in this back area of the pitch. They're both markers, but they're both at the back. So they're responsible for the back of the goal. And then as it develops, you just see the tendencies of the players and what they're thinking and probably the state of the game. And the second phase of set plays are really difficult to coach because if it holds now, you can see Szoboszlai is still in not a bad spot. He's still sort of responsible for this back area. But because he's not a left back, he's going to start to drift into this area. Gakpo's thinking about counter-attacking. Curtis Jones is thinking about counter-attacking. And then before you know it, unbelievable quality from Bruno Fernandes. But you end up with 3 Man United players at the back zone. If you look at Szoboszlai now, and Curtis Jones has now realised that I've gone to counter-attack here, but we've not finished defending yet. So there's that little grey area around, is it still a set play or are we into open play yet? But this is still a set play. You can see where Szoboszlai ends up. And Man United get any one of them 3 could have headed that in at the back post. So that little crossover between set play and open play is very, very difficult to deal with. We always coach where Szoboszlai should stay and be responsible for the back zone until this phase is finished. And he ends up in the middle of the pitch, probably because he's a midfielder. And that's where he's used to being, and it gets Man United a famous victory at Anfield.
What do Manchester United take from this? You said that, in terms of the system, there has to be more tweaks in terms of dominating teams and getting on top of sides. But do you think this will just breed confidence through the club that could take them in the right direction?
Yeah, I think as pundits we can always find something to criticise managers and teams for. I think firstly you have to give him massive credit because it's a huge result. You go to Anfield and Amorim needs results. Like, let's be honest, it's not all about style at the minute for Ruben Amorim. They need some results. So top result, but now can we get Manchester United back to where they were when we were growing up? For me, it's going to take a bit more than what we saw at Anfield the other day.
And I'm not sure anyone really expected this in terms of Liverpool, Jamie, given how impressive they were last season, winning the Premier League in Arne Slot, and that huge investment in the summer. But has that almost created more confusion than it's solved problems?
Yeah, I think every Liverpool supporter's been sort of having sleepless nights trying to work out what Liverpool should be doing, the system they play, what players they use, the players they brought to the club. And I'm sure the manager's feeling exactly the same. But I've mentioned the last couple of weeks, Liverpool's summer transfer business didn't feel Liverpool-like. It felt Real Madrid-like in terms of actually going to buy the most expensive players or the best players on the market in the positions that you want and paying top dollar. Now, what we saw yesterday was Ekitike, who's been Liverpool's best signing, on the bench, and Wirtz on the bench. Now, I think Gary will know this better than me, but when you spend that type of money on players, the people who've spent the money on, they want to see that money on the pitch. You know, and that's a big problem
got that
for
money,
them.
did you?
I haven't spent any money yet. Made a huge profit, just for the record.
I mean, have you had a situation
Yeah, so
like
we did have it. It's very different, obviously. But when I was at Wolves, we did a lot of work. We had some real success in our first season playing Mario Lemina and João Gomez as a two. And then in the summer, we made Mario Lemina captain. And then 10 days or 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, Andre arrives from Brazil. Top signing, top midfielder. Loved him to bits. But now we have this conundrum of I've got my captain, who plays centre midfield. I've got João Gomez, who's been excellent. And I've got Andre. So do I change the system? So we tried changing the system. Didn't really work. Can I leave my captain out to get Andre in? Difficult one. Do I leave João out, who's been excellent for me since I've got here? So Arne Slot will be thinking about this, I'm guessing, a lot.
Yeah.
You know, he'll go training, he'll think about training, and he'll come in and he'll sit in his office and he'll look at his whiteboard and he'll just be thinking, how do I move these bits around to get these in and win football matches?
And Wirtz in the same side.
I was probably one of the few people who wasn't big on Isak coming into the club because I thought it would be a problem when you buy a guy, Ekitike, for 80 million and another guy for 125 million. And it's not actually good for Isak having Ekitike on the bench because he's always looking over his shoulder. He never relax. He knows if he hasn't done something in the first hour, he's probably going to come off. Now, I think Arne Slot, as you're saying, how can he get the two of them on the pitch? I think he's got to find a way, not every week, of getting the two of those players on the pitch.
Look like then? Let's have a look.
Well, listen, I'm thinking of the big money signings who were on the bench at the weekend, and namely Wirtz. So I'm trying to rack my brains as well as a Liverpool supporter what Liverpool could do. Now, I've took Gakpo out there.
Ruthless.
Yeah, but listen, he played really well yesterday, and Szoboszlai would find a place somewhere in the team, but we're concentrating specifically on this attack. So Isak and Ekitike, at some stage, he's got to try and make that work. Now, I go back to what I said before, it was a Real Madrid summer. I think Arne Slot almost has to be a Real Madrid manager, and I put myself up, he maybe put himself in the shoes of maybe Carlo Ancelotti, who every summer, whether that was at Chelsea, Real Madrid or AC Milan, they'd have big money signed and he'd have to make it work, and he would alter it to suit it. So perfect example is, he wins the Champions League a few seasons ago with Karim Benzema as the striker, Ballon d'Or winner. Benzema goes to Saudi, he ends up playing Bellingham as a false nine. It's a completely different way of doing things. So I look at Wirtz being maybe in that position, tucked in. And the reason I'm saying this is because it's about getting the money on the pitch. So Wirtz, you can't keep on the bench forever. So we've highlighted a few weeks ago, in that left channel there, inside, where he plays for Germany, where he played for Leverkusen in that back three system. Ekitike at times, and Isak off him there. And also playing Wirtz there, could that maybe get Carragher higher up the pitch? Because we all know, as Gary knows, the game now is about almost getting that front five up there. So maybe Wirtz comes inside in that position. Carragher, another signing, maybe opens the space for him to come in. And you get Ekitike, maybe Salah or Frimpong on that right side. But I'm trying to think as a manager, and you'll know this better than me, when you've spent big money, you have to find a way of getting these players in the team. And Carlo Ancelotti was the absolute master at this.
Yeah, and I think
5 and a 5.
Yeah, and I think it could suit Wirtz, because obviously the Premier League is definitely going to be more physical than what he's been used to, and maybe some of the criticism aimed at him, or some of the reason that he's been ended up on the bench, is adapting to the physicality of the Premier League. So maybe if he operates wide and drifts into pockets rather than being someone that's in there around midfielders all the time, maybe he'll get a bit more freedom. You've seen Thomas Frank doing it a little bit with the boy they signed from Leipzig.
Yeah.
Simmons.
Yeah.
So they've tried to do that with him. So maybe it gives him a bit more freedom to arrive off the side and drop into things rather than being in the middle of the pitch all the time. I think it definitely suits the three at the back. And Carragher hasn't shown his Bournemouth form yet, so maybe giving him that licence to go around people will get him involved. But the key, as Jamie said, to get back to the point, is can we get these two on the pitch? Because both top number 9s, can we get them close to each other and combine them?
And that's the interesting thing, I think, with this Liverpool summer. Liverpool summer in the past, they've always been about a plan, and you almost knew what it is. But when you actually see where Liverpool, what they ended up with at the end of the game, with Wirtz playing central midfield, it looked a bit of a mess on paper. It didn't actually transform to be a mess in terms of Manchester United going forward, having lots of chances. I don't think it felt like that. But it's going to be really interesting how he gets Ekitike, Isak and Wirtz in the team at the same time, because at some stage he has to, because he's paid that much money for them.
Feels like one of the most interesting stories of the...
Gents, hi there. We're going to start at Anfield. We're going to get straight into it. Michael Oliver was in charge of this. One big talking point from Anfield was, should play have stopped when Alexis McAllister went down with this head injury before Manchester United's opening goal against Liverpool? Straight to you, Dermot.
Well, if you watch it, it's a decision. Michael, is there a foul? No, because it's Van Dijk who comes in behind McAllister. Michael looks at it, he assesses no foul. Play goes on. It goes on very, very quickly. It breaks, so he's forced to break with it, and the assistant's forced to break with it. So neither of them actually see McAllister behind them. Within 5 seconds, it's in the net. The first time they see McAllister down is when the ball's in the net. That's the first time they can go back. Yeah. So it's just an unfortunate incident.
It was two teammates clashing together as well. But look, should play not have stopped, Jay?
I think where the referee was, I don't think he could actually see the contact. When I initially see this, I just thought, to be honest, I thought it was a foul on Mbeumo. And I think maybe the referee looked at it like it was a foul on Mbeumo and I'm playing advantage and the game continues. I think afterwards, obviously, you see McAllister there. He's got a head injury, but I think the initial decision was, the initial reaction from the referee was, I couldn't really see the elbow hit McAllister's head.
OK. Well, let's then hear what Arne Slot had to say on the incident then.
We are not a team, which I see a lot in football, that go to the floor pretending if it's a head injury so they kill the counter-attack. That's not who we are. We never go to the floor. We always are a fair team. So if a player of us is then on the floor, you would hope that everybody understands, oh, it's Liverpool, they don't do these kind of things, so let's blow a whistle.
Yeah, obviously adamant the whistle should have been blown. What is the solution? Because, why aren't we seeing the consistency here then, Dermot?
Well, we can only talk about this incident. And as I said, you look at this incident, is it a foul on McAllister? No, it's his own player. He catches him with his elbow, but we have to see that from behind the goal to see that. You see the sideways on, you don't see that. Michael Oliver, his first priority is it a foul? No. Ball gets transitioned. And it gets transitioned very, very quickly. That's what you have to remember. And his priority then is the next phase of football. They attack. The assistant, people say to me, he should see it. Well, he's also on that side. He's got to be going. Yeah, he's got to be going for the offside and such like. And within 5 seconds of that happening, the ball's in the net. That's the first time anybody really sees it.
But as well, I genuinely think that Michael Oliver looks at this and says, it's a foul on Mbeumo. But then the ball's broke to a Man United player, and he's continued. He couldn't see that contact. I don't think anyone really saw it. We can see the contact because we're sitting at home, we're watching it, we see replays. But as it's happened at that speed, I just think that it was a right decision in the end.
And we see the contact, Jay, because we've seen 3-4 replays from different angles. Yeah. From the referee's angle, all he sees is it's not a foul on McAllister.
Yeah, at the end of the day, he's holding his head, he's gone down. I have a strong stance.
But he said there as well. Slot said there, we don't do that. He's opened up himself now for people. There's going to be memes on this because people are going to be posting Liverpool players going down all the time, holding their head. Like, we've seen that. We've seen players go down, clutching their head, clutching their legs, and they've barely been touched. So I bet you we're going to start seeing things now, especially in social media, where, there'll be instances of Liverpool players going down, not really being hit hard. And, Slot said, we don't do that at Liverpool Football Club.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to happen. We're going to see that now.
Yeah, look, I get that. But earlier, obviously, I was asking about consistency because you want to see this consistency. And when you compare it to another incident, look at this. This is Fulham-Arsenal, Dermot.
Yeah, well, I think, Hayley, this is a totally different incident because if you look at the referee's got a clear view of it. He looks behind it. He's assessed in his head immediately. There might be a clash of heads there. He looks back, he sees him down, holding his head, and he stops play. There's a lot of difference in this. He's got time, he can see it, it's in his eye line. The ball doesn't break as quick. So there's a massive difference in this incident to the one that after.
I agree on that one because I think the Mbeumo one, they're literally going straight through on goal. It's like one pass out, one pass through, his shot. On this one, he's looked at it and said, there's like 8 players behind the ball. It's going to be more of a slow build-up. so I have the opportunity to blow the whistle.
Let's go to Anfield, get some more reaction. Liverpool legend John Barnes has been there for all day for us, pitch side. How do you reflect on that today, John?
Man United turned up, which Manchester United turned up. And I didn't mean which Manchester United in possession, because in possession with Mbeumo and Cunha, Fernandes, they've got lots of good players. It's which Manchester United when they haven't got the ball. And the Man United off the ball after going 1-0 up, having to defend deep, they put on a proper performance. It was the proper Manchester United that turned up. The first goal helped them, which meant they could defend deep and defend the lead. Obviously, when Liverpool equalised, we felt it was only going to go one way, but they showed the character and the determination. So I was always worried if Manchester United turned up and played properly when they haven't got the ball. The problem they'll have moving forward is obviously do they do this in every game? When they play the so-called lesser teams, are they going to perform like this? Yes, Man City, they beat them in the cup final. The big games they turn up, but the consistency is their attitude and their commitment and their determination without the ball that they show today, which will help them moving forward if they do that.
What about Liverpool? Michael says he's not too worried because they're creating chances. There have been fine lines in each and every one of these defeats.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not worried at all. Because, of course, you look at the performances, and the performances warranted, even today, they didn't warrant losing. They lost to Chelsea, who are a good team. So as long as they put in the performance, Liverpool are a bit different. Because regardless of who they play with the right commitment, determination, effort. So you'll win more games than you lose. So they lost today. Yes, they've lost against Chelsea and they've lost a few games. But if they continue to play this, they'll be fine. So, and once again, we assume that because we then spent 200 million on Wirtz and Isak and Ekitike, things are just going to fall into place. They're young players trying to get the balance right between attack and defence. We're finding our feet. But I have no worries about Liverpool. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the league, but they'll play consistently well and be right up there come the end of the season.
John, we spoke a little bit before the game about Mo Salah. Again, no goals today, a couple of missed chances. I mean, your opinion, and I think what we said before the game as well with Michael, it will come for Mo Salah. He's done it for many, many years. The longer this goes on, though, I mean, I can't think of lots and lots of games you went without scoring. And the longer it goes on for him, does it matter to him? Do you think he'll be worried? Do you think the manager will be worried? Do you think he could actually move him out? Because there's so many different options now.
Well, I don't think he'll necessarily be worried, but I think that what has happened is that Liverpool are now a different team with different players playing in a different style. In the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, the team has been designed and set up for Mo to score goals, be it Trent creating it, be it anybody creating for Mo, Bobby Firmino. Whereas now, once you have Isak and you have Wirtz and you have Ekitike, we're now doing different things. Everything's not just for Mo to score. So the fact that Mo won't be as impactful has nothing to do with him himself. It's to do with the nature of the team, meaning that we're going to share the creativity. Everything's not going to go through Mo. Wirtz himself, in terms of him being the number one at Bayer Leverkusen, where everything went through him, he hasn't necessarily shown the same form here because everything is now not going to go through him. But the team's still good enough as a combination of different people being creative in different ways rather than one person to win football matches. So I have no fears about Mo, no.
And just finally, John, what about Liverpool at the other end? They've given up chances again today, 2 clean sheets in 17 games. Is that understandable given the inconsistency, the way that the back four's been this season?
Well, I don't look at it from a back four perspective. I look at it from a whole team defensive perspective. Remember when we had, Fabinho and Milner and Henderson defensive midfield players, the fullbacks could attack, everyone attacks. Now our midfield is very creative. So we're very creative in midfield. But out of possession, we have to look at transitions when we haven't got the ball, how teams are causing us problems, like when Semenyo scored against us when he ran from his own half. So one thing, thinking that the solution to the problem is just signing great attacking players that we have. But the balance as a team defensively, when we haven't got the ball, not today because Man United sat back, but we have to get that right in terms of defending better as a team rather than just looking at it as a back four problem.
Top stuff, John. Thanks for all your work today.
Thanks, guys.
John Barnes at Anfield giving his opinion. Here is the opinion of the Liverpool manager, Arne Slot.
Arne, can you tell us the story of the match from your point of view?
It's always difficult to play against a team that defends in the low block, that mainly plays the long ball. But it makes it even more difficult if you go 1-0 down after 1 minute after a player of us is on the floor. And then I think if you would have told me before the game that against the low block, against the team that plays so many long balls, we would have created as much chances as we did, I would have not expected us to lose this game of football. But that's what we did. So again, enough chances to score more than 1 goal. But on the other hand, again, conceding 2, where one of the 2 was a set piece.
Is that kind of a repeat of the last couple of Premier League games? It's a similar thing you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's, of course we concede maybe 1 or 2 extra chances apart from the 2 goals we've conceded, but that's also the risk you take if you're 1-0 down. So we always have to take a lot of risk, and if you then take that into account, that we hardly give away a chance, and then we are waiting for us to score a goal, and we have to defend the set piece. And like against Palace, and like a few other moments this season, we've conceded in a set piece, and that's hard to take because it's very difficult to win a game of football if you have a negative balance in the set pieces.
The triple change certainly had a positive effect. Did you feel at that point, we're going to go on and turn this right around?
I think people tend to forget how many chances we've already had when we were 1-0 down in the first half. Because if you're 1-0 down, it's quite normal that people focus on the ball that you play wrong, or a moment that you wait where you could have played forward and you don't. But Alexander Isak, first half, 1-on-1 to the goalkeeper, Cody Gakpo hitting the post twice. So even the first half, we've already had chances to go 1-1. But it's true that in the second half, this is mainly with us because the other team gets more and more tired. We create more and more. This happened against Palace, happened against Chelsea, happened today. This also has to do with the changes we've made, but also with the effort we put in the first half.
Any concerns over the run of results, or is it just something that you know will be rectified?
No, of course, concerns if you win. If you lose 4 times in a row, you need to be concerned because you know how it works in football. If we can keep bringing these performances in, we will have a fair chance of winning more football games. And if we can do a few things a little bit better, we would even have a better chance of winning a game of football. But you're never 100% sure if the next game you're able to create 8, 9, 10 open chances. So yeah, but as long as these players are again a setback, again 1-0 down, again playing so many times with 1-0 down and coming back in the way we did. If that mentality is there, there's a lot to take into the upcoming games. But losing 4 times in a row definitely does something with the team.
Yeah, well, 4 in a row in all competitions hasn't happened since 2014. Brendan Rodgers was the last Liverpool manager to endure a run like that. But in terms of the chances created, he's talking about that. 19 shots they had today. Liverpool, 6 of them on target. Do you feel on another day they could have easily scored 2 or 3?
Absolutely, yeah. I thought he summed it up really well, very honest. It's a concern losing games. They can't afford to really lose many more. I think that's, 4 points behind Arsenal already. They've lost a game in the Champions League. It's not a disaster at the moment. It could turn into one if it continues. However, based on the facts and based on what we've seen and how well Liverpool are playing, I'm not saying they're absolutely at their top, they're full throttle at the moment, but they are certainly playing well enough to win games. Certainly, if they just play that well as they played today, they'll win more often than they'll lose. Now, they need to probably play even better to become champions. But it's certainly not, that team is not devoid of confidence. They're creating chances, conceding a couple of chances themselves, which is not ideal, but there are so many great players in so many attacking areas. They can change their whole attack today and have a new burst of energy, a new sort of last 20 minutes or so. It's again, right, it's new players, it's new chances, and they get a goal and you think, wow, it's going to happen. They're going to get another one here. So there's lots to be positive about, but of course, you'd be stupid to say, no concerns at all, everything's rosy in the garden. They've lost 4 on the spin. It's not ideal, but there's plenty going on that I see that's positive.
Do you know the bigger picture, though, as well for me is 4 points at the moment. If it's 4 points in February, they're right in the mix.
Yeah.
March even, If it's Arsenal at the top, they've never won it before, so you're almost banking on them it's going to be hard to get over the line. So actually, the bigger picture, 4 points is not the end of the world. It's what happens next.
Can I point out the bigger picture is 3 weeks ago, Liverpool were 5 points clear of Arsenal, and Arsenal fans are worried about Liverpool going outside.
And that's how it can flip so quickly, and we're in a marathon here, and we've just kind of started, really. So I think there's that. The other kind of influence or effect it can have, though, if there's that bit of goals going in against you and there's the little chink in the armour, all of a sudden the games that are coming up go a bit of a different perspective in terms of the opposition. So Liverpool's players might be a little bit, instead of being here and playing Brentford next, isn't it? And they go in, Brentford might be thinking, if Liverpool are looking invincible, they think, tough game this, we can't score against them and they're dangerous. And all of a sudden Liverpool's a little bit, Brentford all thinking, you know, Liverpool, we might get something today, and that's what they have to get, almost nip in the bud quick and get that invincibility and that aura back, because I think that, as much as the results, I think going on the pitch against them, that's a massive factor. So the quicker they can get back onto that road again, it'll help them and make games easier before they even get on the pitch.
And getting their big players firing again. I mean, if you look at the record signing Isak and Mo Salah, who I know we talked about earlier in the day, hasn't scored from open play in the Premier League this season. Do you think sooner or later those two are going to click, and then that will be a huge difference to what we're talking about?
Well, it will, as soon, and they will click, won't they? I mean, if there's any two players in the Premier League that you know you shouldn't have doubts about, it's these two. Mo Salah's done it for years and years and years. I mean, his cabinets are bursting with golden boots. So, like, who am I? Who's anybody to doubt him? Isak is one of the best players on this planet. Best strikers, certainly. I mean, he's been doing it in this league. So there's no question at all that these two are going to be banging in goals. No question. And the beauty of it for Liverpool is, do you know what? If they are struggling after an hour, then they can bring Ekitike on. They can bring Wirtz on. They can bring all these superstars on. And, you know, I thought Ekitike made a real difference when he came on. Gakpo's playing really well. He missed a few chances today, but he's the most improved player in a Liverpool shirt, him and Gravenberch, over the last year or two. So there's lots going on. There's lots of different options if they should be struggling. Now, they are at the moment, but, you know, only a fool would write them off for the long term.
Defensively, though, I mean, I mentioned it to John, 2 clean sheets in 17. Arsenal kept 8 already this season.
That's the talking about that chink and that almost giving other teams a bit of hope, if you like. Probably going against Arsenal at the minute thinking this is going to be a real tough game, that they don't give much away and it's difficult to score, and they're dangerous in different ways against Arsenal, set plays and dangerous in free play, where Liverpool are just giving teams now after that run that little bit of hope, too much hope really. So it's pretty obvious, you know, you need to score and you need to stop conceding goals, but the goals will come. So, you know, we're talking about the calibers of play that have been there and done it, especially Salah, and knows they'll turn up. But defensively, they do need to nip that, because it's very difficult to then rely on extra goals, 2-3 goals to win games. You can't do that every week.
And that is the makeup of both teams, though, as well, isn't it? I mean, Arsenal are extremely solid as a defensive unit. They don't create as much as Liverpool. They're not as good on the eye as Liverpool. When both teams are purring, when both teams are at full throttle, I mean, Liverpool can blow teams away 5 or 6-0. I don't really see that with Arsenal, but Arsenal just don't concede. So it is, I know what you're saying about how many Arsenal concede, but Liverpool create more chances. Liverpool are going to win more games 4-2 than Arsenal. Arsenal will win 1-0, as they're famous for doing, like they did at the weekend. But so I wouldn't be so concerned about comparing like for like. I think these two teams are very different. Liverpool really need to get their scoring boots on, because they almost need to outscore teams as opposed to nip games 1-0, whereas Arsenal, it's about can they score the chance that they get, or the one chance that they out of 3 or 4 that they get, because they're going to keep a clean sheet. So very different teams, but obviously Liverpool do need to stop the chances if they